Joshua Botham asks, when fitting in training around your life, have you got any tips to maximize your TSS while doing shorter, and he suggests 1 to 1.5 hour sessions throughout the week? I assume what's happening, he's talking about is he's, for whatever reason, decreasing the duration of his workouts. Well, let's start with TSS. TSS means training stress score. It's a number, if you will, that has to do with how hard the workout was. How hard the workout was is based on two things. One is duration. Did you ride for 30 minutes or 3 hours? That's an easy workout versus a hard workout. That's just one definition. The other element that goes into determining the TSS is intensity. Were you riding in zone 1 or zone 5? That's the intensity side. The combination of these two things is what causes TSS. The formula for TSS is intensity factor, which I'll briefly explain. Intensity factor is just a percentage of the FTP you average for the entire ride. So if you rode if your FTP, let's say 200 watts, and you rode at 100 watts for the entire ride, that was 50%. That would be your intensity factor. So if we multiply your intensity factor squared times the duration in hours, we have TSS. That's all it is. So if we're going to decrease duration, we're going to bring down duration, you're not going to do as long of workouts. What we're talking about is a math problem. It's nothing but a math problem. What you have to do in that case is increase intensity to bring your TSS up to what it was before. Now, that's not to say that that's right. I'm not saying that's what you should be doing. I'm only saying that's the solution to your mathematical problem here, which is how to get my TSS higher. You get the TSS higher by increasing the intensity when the duration came down because of some reason why you had to decrease the length of your rides. But that doesn't mean that's what you should be doing. That gets into a whole nother discussion, which I really can't answer in a brief video here for you, which has to do with training. Training is a lot more than simply getting a TSS number at the end of the workout. Question from Jana Posna. Do you recommend sweet spot training? Well, first of all, let's talk about what sweet spot training is. That's basically intervals done at about 90% of your FTP for long periods of time. The typical way of doing this is 20 minutes at 90% of FTP, 5-minute recovery, 20 minutes at 90% of FTP. That's considered a sweet spot interval workout. It's a very common workout that's done. And I would say, yes, that this is a very effective way of training. You can do that type of workout 2 days per week very nicely. Or you could do that 1 day per week and also do it on the other day per week. I recommend doing 2 hard workouts per week. So one of those hard workouts could be this sweet spot workout. Another workout may be VO2 max intervals, where you do the intervals of very high intensity, like 120% of FTP. So with very short sessions, very short intervals. So something like 5 times 3 minutes at 120% of FTP with 3-minute recoveries when you first start doing it. And then over time, decrease the amount of recovery between those. But the sweet spot intervals are also a very good workout to do. So you can mix the 2 types of workouts within a week, which becomes a very effective way of training. Mix that along with lots of zone 1, zone 2 riding, like 5 days a week, low intensity riding, and 2 days a week, high intensity riding. So yeah, the sweet spot training is a good workout to do. Highly recommend it. It could be done once or even twice a week. Make Knox X asks, I am focusing on Criterium racing this year. What type of training should I be focusing on? Do I need to bother with zone 2 endurance work? Yes, you do need to bother with zone 2 endurance work and zone 1 endurance work. As I'm sure almost everybody's aware of by now, it's amazing how talk about this so frequently with athletes. There's the new concept, which new, I say it's been around since about the early 2000s, the polarized idea that about 80% of your training should be low intensity and about 20% of your training should be high intensity. So 2 parts, make sure you get in 5 days a week of low intensity training, aerobic training, and 2 days a week where you're working out at high intensity. One of those high intensity days could be a C priority race. You can go to a race on the weekend. It's just as good as doing an interval workout, and maybe and better in lots of ways. But don't become too involved in doing high intensity workouts all the time. You don't want to be doing these multiple times during the week. I'd recommend twice a week is what's best for most riders. 2 times a week, if you're doing workouts like that, is fully adequate. It will really challenge your system, but you've also got to have that aerobic fitness to be able to get through the entire 45 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever it is, and still be able to keep doing these repeats over and over and over. So you got to have that base platform. The base platform is zone 1 and 2 training. That's what gets you through the workout. If you don't have that, you're going to be spit out the back after a few hard efforts. So that type of training, 5 days a week plus 2 days a week of high intensity training, is going to be very effective for getting you ready for criteriums. Question from Narissa Films. What is your recommendation for a cyclist who has a herniated cervical disc? Well, that's fairly serious. What I suggest in that case is probably the best thing you can do is talk to your physician about how you should be riding a bicycle, what you should be doing. I suspect what the physician would suggest is things that may have to do with something like your position on the saddle, the height of the saddle relative to the handlebars, so what your reach is, the intensity of your workouts. There could be a lot of things going on here that are hard to, because it really depends on where this is in your spine, and your physician would be the best person to respond to that in terms of how to deal with that particular location relative to your cycling. But let's say it's a different situation. Let's say it's somebody who's experiencing more along the lines of suffering from neck or a back pain, especially lower back pain, which is fairly common. What I'd suggest in that case is that you have a bike fit done. There's quite a high possibility that something's aggravating your back someplace or your neck. And so having your bike fit by a professional is one way to make sure that it's more, it's set up to your particular needs. Sometimes when we do these for ourselves, we tend to assume things or we're not really truly measuring things to make sure we're getting it in the right position. So don't rely on your spouse. Don't ask your spouse to take a look at your bike fit and see how you look. That's not a good idea. Actually, put together the money it takes and go see somebody who knows what they're doing, and they'll make sure it's done right. And hopefully that will be the thing that takes care of the neck and back pain. But if that still continues once you've had that done, then your next step is to talk to your physician about what may be done about what you're experiencing.